My payments were $1,250 a month on Affirm and Klarna, that is. When I started this thing at the end of March, 50.
Over 86 million Americans use Buy Now, Pay Later in 2024. That's almost a third of the country. It's clearly become the new normal. But what if this so-called convenience is quietly putting millions into debt? And the worst part? Most people don't even realize it's happening until it's too late. Because when a trap looks like freedom, it's easy to step right in. Buy Now, Pay Later lets you split a purchase into smaller installments, often 4 payments over 6 weeks, with no interest if you pay on time, no credit check, no approval delay. Just click, confirm, and take it home. Services like Affirm, Afterpay, Klarna, and PayPal dominate this space. You've probably seen one pop up at checkout without even realizing it. That's the pitch. Simple, seamless, instant gratification with no visible cost. It's why so many people love it. You get what you want now without feeling like you're spending, but ease and speed, they can be a trap, especially when they make it too easy to ignore the fact that this is still debt. And here's the twist. We don't treat it like debt. We treat it like a harmless toggle, just another payment option. This makes it even more dangerous because we're not being careless with money, we're being careless with the idea of borrowing. And when we normalize this kind of borrowing, it opens the door to a culture where we don't pause to question what we're signing up for, we just tap and go. We're creating frictionless finance, but friction is what keeps us from falling too fast. Buy Now, Pay Later feels safer than credit cards. No interest, no revolving balance. But late payments carry fees, typically $7 to $10 a pop, and more than 4 in 10 users have already missed at least one. Some providers don't report on-time payments to credit bureaus, meaning you're not even building credit. But if you default, collections, credit damage. So while this service is promised no strings, there are strings. You just don't feel them at checkout. This kind of financing erases what psychologists call the pain of paying, that small mental friction when you part with money, which means every transaction feels easy, too easy. And when things feel easy, we do more of them, more transactions, more installments, more debt. Buy Now, Pay Later also shifts our frame of reference. You're not comparing price to value, you're comparing price to the first payment. And that reframing of affordability, it's powerful, but it can be used against us. In fact, by 2025, 25% of users reported using these services for groceries. Not big ticket items, groceries, essentials. That's how normalized this debt has become. We're not just spreading payments, we're financing dinner. I've seen dozens of people start with small pay later purchases, a jacket, then some headphones, then a new phone. And within weeks, they're $4,000 deep, juggling payments and behind on rent. It happens fast, and it's more common than you think. Nearly half of users report problems, missed payments, buyer's remorse, debt stacking. 1 in 6 have skipped other bills, like rent or utilities, just to keep up. Why? Because these services split each purchase into its own little timeline. There's no single bill to warn you you're in too deep, until suddenly you are. The debt gets scattered across apps, due dates, and inboxes. No single statement, no warning. People don't just spend more, they lose sight of where it's going. You're checking multiple apps and trying to remember what you still owe. It's not just financially draining, it's mentally exhausting. And that exhaustion leads to burnout, which leads to missed payments, which leads to more debt. It's a cycle, a quiet spiral that starts with 4 easy payments. So, how do buy now, pay later companies profit if it's interest-free? Mainly from the retailers, who pay transaction fees of 4% to 8%. Why? Because shoppers spend more when these services are offered, and they buy more often. That's the incentive. But here's where it gets darker. Up to a quarter of Afterpay's income once came from late fees. So not only do these companies profit when you buy more, they profit when you mess up. And now, they're rolling out pay later debit cards, 12-month loans, 48-month financing, app reminders, push notifications, it's not just about making it easy, it's about making it addictive. And unlike credit cards, this model is still under-regulated. No mandatory credit checks, no uniform disclosures, minimal oversight. It's a system designed for speed, not safety. And we're not the only ones they're targeting. Pay later providers are aggressively pushing into younger markets. Teenagers, college students, first job workers, people who haven't even built savings yet. Hook someone early and you hook them for life. And every time they slip, it's another payday for the provider. What looks like a financial tool is actually a behavior funnel. And once you're in it, you're not the customer, you're the product. We think of debt as a choice, a credit card, a loan, something you sign for. Buy now, pay later changes that because it looks like a payment method, not a loan. There's no friction, no psychological checkpoint, just buy now, pay later, which means it's normalizing debt as a default behavior. Imagine this, you owe 6 different pay later providers companies for 6 different purchases, all due within the same week. Each one seems small, but together, it's a storm of deadlines and dollars. Now add this, you're getting dopamine hits every time you buy. Swipe, tap, reward. Swipe, tap, regret. It's not just a debt problem, it's a dopamine problem, engineered to feel good now and hurt later. Studies show that reward-based spending activates the same neural pathways as gambling. So, if we're not careful, it will reshape our entire relationship with money. We're building habits based on stimulation, not sustainability. And when habits are easy to form but hard to break, we're not just losing money, we're losing control. Let's be fair, BNPL can work for some people. Freelancers smoothing out income, savvy shoppers using it for planned budgeted expenses. If tracked properly, it can help with cash flow. But for most users, it's not a budgeting tool, it's a buying tool designed to encourage consumption, not caution. Here's a simple test. If you have more than 3 active pay later plans at once, stop and reassess. If you're using a pay later service for essentials like food, consider the bigger picture. And if you wouldn't buy something without the option to delay payment, you probably shouldn't buy it with it either. The short-term win of buy now, pay later often leads to long-term strain, financial stress, credit damage, regret. It's not free money, it's just delayed responsibility. If you want a healthy relationship with money, you have to start by recognizing when you're being manipulated. These plans aren't just a payment option, they're a profit strategy. We don't need to fear these tools, we just need to stop treating them like they're harmless. So, I want to hear from you. Have you ever used buy now, pay later? Did it help you out? Drop your story in the comments, because someone watching might be in the middle of the same spiral. And if this video made you think differently, hit that like button and subscribe for more content that cuts through the noise.